Welcome to the latest edition of the Growing with God podcast. My name is Austin Fox. This is our Thanksgiving week edition. We're really excited about our guest today on the podcast, Ayla Thelen. She is a senior at PW. She is a Westphalia native, and she really lives out her Catholic faith in a very profound and courageous way. Ayla, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let's jump right into it. You, right before we started recording, you shared just briefly a pretty cool story about something that happened to you as a kid when you were in elementary school. Could you just talk a little bit about kind of what sounds like a traumatic experience and how your faith grew as a result of that?
Yeah, so it happened when I was in third grade. I had just been feeling pretty weird. I had a lot of blood tests and stuff. And eventually, my mom, she got a call from my pediatrician, and my mom and dad, we all drove to the hospital. I was in the hospital for a week. I was diagnosed with diabetes insipidus, which is a really complicated term for basically my body can't regulate water intake. So I just have to drink a lot of water, and I go to the bathroom like a lot. I have a medication to regulate it now. So I got that diagnosis, and like a year later, I was diagnosed with panhypopituitarism, which is another really complicated term for my pituitary gland. Doesn't produce any of the hormones it's supposed to. So I'm on a bunch of replacement hormones for that. So about a year after my first hospitalization, I was hospitalized for cranial swelling, which was a result of one of the medications I was taking. My brain, basically my spinal fluid wasn't draining from my brain, so it was like full of spinal fluids. That gave me a really bad headache. So then I had to get a spinal tap in that hospitalization. Then a year after that, it happened again, where my spinal fluid wasn't draining due to that same medication. So that was 3 times in 3 years. Do you have any questions? That was a lot of medical terms.
I guess the main thing I'm curious about is, God oftentimes gives us these trials and these adversities to draw us closer to Him. How did you see yourself drawing closer to Him during all those challenges?
So one thing I really noticed was living in Westphalia like I always have, going through all of that, people were coming up to me after Mass that I didn't really even know, saying they were praying for me. My great-grandma gave me some holy water from Fatima that people brought back to her because she thought I needed it more than her. I just really noticed the support of my community during that experience, and I think that was able to draw me closer to God because I saw that He was really helping me through it through all these other people.
God oftentimes puts such a strong support cast around us, people to be there to support us when we need them most. What impact did that have on you? Your grandma, for example, giving you something I'm sure that was very precious to her, or blessed the holy water from Fatima. Yeah. What impact did that have on you to see people reach out the way they did? Yeah,
I felt my panhypopituitarism, about 1 in 100,000 people have it, so it's very rare. And for a long time, I felt kind of alone, like nobody knew what I was going through. People tried to understand, but they really couldn't. So when I just saw my whole community kind of reach out and try to help me, it meant a lot to me. I was able to see that I wasn't alone.
Obviously, you're very deep in your faith now and have a closeness with God. Did that experience kind of set the foundation, if you will, for how strong your faith is now?
I would say definitely. Maybe at the time I didn't realize it as much because I was in third grade. But like looking back, I'm able to see that my condition is very rare, but also being able to live the way I do is also very rare. Like a lot of people have no energy. It's just the fact that I have my condition and I'm able to live in a normal way is pretty also rare. So yeah, I'm able to really see how God is helping me through that.
We oftentimes challenge the PW high schoolers at the Well to make the faith their own and to really take onus on their Catholic faith. And you did that very profoundly about a year or so ago, I believe, when you started on your own going to what's called the Omega Project here in Westphalia. It's every Monday night. It's a Bible study class at 7 o'clock in the Ark. And what it is they go super, super in-depth on the Bible and our Catholic faith and what our teachings truly mean. And it's just an amazing thing that they do here in Westphalia. What experience was that like for you? And I guess, why was the desire there to really, really go a lot deeper on our faith and get closer to God?
Yeah, so I had listened to Father Mike's Bible in a year, and there were just, obviously he reads the entire Bible, so he doesn't have the opportunity to go that in depth about little things, I guess, and I was hoping that's what the Omega Project would be like, and it was. I thought it was really cool. Before going to the Omega Project and before listening to Father Mike, I didn't realize how much the New and the Old Testament were connected, and how much they always say the New Testament is hidden in the Old and the Old Testament is revealed in the New. And I just really got to see that at the Omega Project, and I thought that was really cool.
The kind of the basis or the foundation of that initiative when it first started was a quote from St. Anselm in the Middle Ages, and that's faith-seeking understanding FSU, that as Catholics we have a responsibility and an obligation to seek out our faith and what it means on a much deeper level. Did you find that once you started seeking that how infinite our faith is, and that there's you develop a hunger and a thirst to go deeper and deeper? Did you kind of see that welling up in you?
I was shocked when I started listening to Father Mike. I've listened to it a couple times now, and every single time I find myself discovering new things and looking for new things. Yeah, I feel like that really kind of opened a door to learn more.
I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here,
Right.
But off the top of your head, was anything in particular really jumped out at you as to one of the main things that you learned, where it's like, wow, I didn't know that, or this is really cool? Anything that's really stuck with you since you attended those classes?
Something that I thought was really cool was, I kind of already said it, I just, over and over again, they would highlight, like, they would mention something, and it was like, yeah, this was a prophecy of Jesus. The amount of, I guess, symbolism there was that kind of represented what was coming, I thought was it was really cool.
You go to those classes on your own, and just being a role model and an inspiration for others at PW is obviously very courageous and bold of you. You have 2 younger siblings at home. Mm-hmm. How, in what ways are you a faith role model to them? How do they see Jesus Christ in you?
We, as a family, we always do stuff for Lent. Honestly, I drive them a lot of places, so we go to Mass together, we'll go to adoration together, we'll go to confession together, and I really think that if I have 2 younger sisters, and I think including them in my faith has helped make my faith stronger, because when they ask questions, I end up learning things, and I think it's cool.
It's a two-way street,
yeah,
isn't
exactly.
it? Where obviously the goal is to be teaching them, but they're teaching you as
Yeah.
well, it sounds like, which is awesome to hear. On the flip side, we talked about you being a faith role model. Who's been a big faith role model in your life?
Honestly, my confirmation saint has been my biggest role model. My confirmation saint is Mother Teresa, and I feel like I have this little book where 365 days of quotes from her, and she was just so wise. I don't know. I've learned a lot from her.
Mother Teresa is such a noble person to look up to. What's the best piece of faith advice that you've ever seen?
I have this quote from Mother Teresa that I have it on my bathroom mirror. I read it every morning. I can read it. Would you like?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Love to hear it.
All right, so it's called the Anyway prayer, or some people call it's Do It Anyway. It's a little bit long. It's, people are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you're successful, you'll win some unfaithful friends and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. If you're honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. What you spend years creating, others could destroy overnight. Create anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, some may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the best you have, and it will never be enough. Give your best anyway. In the final analysis, it is between you and God. It was never between you and them anyway.
That's incredible. That's amazing to hear. What impact has that prayer, that quote had on your life?
I just really think I get caught up a lot of the times in what other people think, and that prayer, it just says over and over again, it doesn't matter.
See yourself as God sees you, not as people see you.
Yeah,
words of wisdom, certainly with that quote. Speaking of that, you're a senior at PW, almost halfway through your senior year. It's clear you have a lot of trust in God and in the Holy Spirit and where they might be guiding you. where do you think they are guiding you? What are some of the next steps in terms of trusting God and where He might be calling you toward in terms of the next steps in your life?
So I'm planning on going to college, and I've applied to a bunch of places, and I really have no idea where I really just have no idea where I want to go. So I think it's just kind of a trust exercise. Wherever I end up will be where God wants me to be. So I just want to trust Him, and yeah.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because even in times of immense uncertainty, and I'm not saying this is confusion for you, but in terms of confusion for other people, where you almost just sit back and put it in God's hands.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and you said it, I'll wind up where I'm supposed to wind up. And as long as you trust Him, basically, you know that everything will work out exactly the way it should.
Yeah.
So we mentioned this at the beginning, but this is, of course, the solemnity of Jesus Christ the King, King of the universe, but it also happens to be Thanksgiving week.
Yes.
So with that in mind, Ayla, what are a few of the things that you're most thankful for and that God has blessed you with most significantly?
This is really everybody, my family. Like I'm so thankful. My family is always there for me, always supporting me. Yeah, that's my main one. I kind of said it before, but I'm really thankful for the community that I've been able to grow up in. It's really helped me grow in my faith. Yeah.
Do you feel like that's, a significant blessing from God, and that you realize just how fortunate we have it here for God to have put us where we are and to have the things that we do have in the community?
Yeah, especially nowadays, a town like Westphalia is so rare, and the fact that I've been able to grow up here is just such a blessing.
Right before we started recording, you mentioned a really cool habit or weekly routine that you do in terms of being thankful and saying the rosary. Could you just talk about that a little bit? What does that routine all entail?
Yeah. So I do this more in Lent, but I also kind of sprinkle it throughout the year. I like to do these things called thankful rosaries. I've never really heard of them. I guess it's something I just kind of came up with. But for every Hail Mary, I say something small I'm thankful for, and then for every Our Father, I say something bigger. Yeah, I just go around and end up saying however many beads are in the rosary.
Is this something that you do year-round, or is this just this time of year?
It's year-round. I don't always... I'm not as consistent with it as I'd like to be, but it is something I do year-round. Yeah.
It helps remember how good God has been to us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you, take a look at all the things that you've truly been blessed with.
Yeah.
Ayla, this has been a blast doing this. I think it's safe to say that you're an inspiration to a lot of people around with how visible and how profoundly you live out your Catholic faith. Thank you so much for coming on today. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Yeah, thank you.
If you guys enjoy our podcast, we put them out once every week or every other week during the school year. We also have listed in the description below on YouTube all of our past episodes if you would like to hear any past ones. Until then, though, we hope you all have a blessed Thanksgiving week.